Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 31st of October. My name is Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Peer.
Gary, tomorrow is the 1st of November, which generally follows the 31st of a month because there is no 32nd of a month. But tomorrow, 1st of November, as we count down the days before Christmas and the great real estate shutdown.
I tell you what, it's going to be a very busy and big December. That's what I'm calling it,
You
Phil.
know what? You're 100%
it's going to be a
right,
big December
Gary.
because, there's a lot going on, a lot of people wanting to trade,
Yes.
make their moves.
And keep in mind, viewers, the first Saturday of December is the 2nd, the 9th and the 16th.
Yeah, oh yeah. Don't go away early this year.
So we could even sneak in some auctions on the 23rd of December. Not that we would, of course, but the fact is we've got 3 busy weekends in December. So the calendar is kind to us this year.
Well, it is going to be kind to us, Phil. It's going to be kind to those people who are out searching for a home because there are many of them. Some of our inspections were very, very busy and some of our auction results were very, very positive, Phil.
Well, that's a bit of a segue, isn't it, Gary, to talk about our little boast because the industry, we're talking Victoria at the moment, had a 62% clearance rate, which is not that flash.
Oh, not that bad either.
It's not that bad, but
it's not
that flash, Gary, 62. Having said that, what do you think of 77%?
I like it, Phil. 7's my lucky number.
Yes,
I like
Gary.
it very much. 77% is a fantastic clearance rate.
It
well
is
done.
Smashing the industry clearance rate yet.
A little bit of Bose music, not too loud, but a bit of Bose music there because we'll take that. We'll take that sort of 25% better than the industry, thereabouts, Phil. And well done to all those buyers and sellers alike. Some interesting results. And look, I was speaking to a few other agents on the weekend as well, Phil, because, we are collegiate. We do talk to other agents and, we're competitive.
Through our lawyers.
Yeah, mostly through our lawyers. But, speaking to, and, spoke to an agent who just sold something to a buyer that we were sort of working on together. And, the agent said something interesting, Phil.
What did that agent say?
The agent said, some of the things you think...
pray tell
I'm
us.
going to tell you, Phil. You just have to wait a moment. Just let me get through with it, The agent said that there's a lot of properties that are being sold really well where they didn't necessarily expect it, and others that they expect to sell really well, which necessarily aren't, in terms of just having the same competition. So it's a little bit hard to get the read on it.
Or maybe that agent that you were talking to, Gary, has no idea what they're doing.
Well, that's probably it. I didn't want to sell them that, and I'm glad you've given them some clarity. But, it's a spring...
agent will remain nameless because our lawyers are currently busy with the other ones that we've defamed.
We can only say, no, Philip, it's this time of year, and there's sort of a parallel sometimes between horses and houses. Because, it's like a trainer who says, look, I think the horse is going to go well, then it runs like a busted you-know-what, okay? And then... Right, there's others that they go, it's got no chance. Yeah. Like Cadmus, which is running on Friday night, which is a horse I've got a share in it, which I thought was so bad that I actually bet on other horses, and it ended up I got a share in that horse, and it won. Yes. So that's how much of a loser I am. And it's running on Friday night, Cadmus at Moonee Valley, and the trainer was like, I don't think so. It won. And then there's others, they go, it's a sure thing and it loses. And it's a bit like real estate, houses and horses. Sometimes we can go and say, look, this auction is going to be a red hot auction. It's going to go through the roof. And often it does. But sometimes it doesn't, Phil. And other times we think it's not going to perform and it does. That's it.
Lord, this is such a long-winded story.
I think I got the message out, didn't I?
I got to
basically, the message is...
I kind of gave up about 45 seconds in.
Look, I think the basis of the message is we've really got no idea what's going on. I think that's it. Neither did the other agents, by the way. None of us have got a clue. We're just making it all up as we're going along, really, aren't we?
It's interesting, though, when you talk about no one knows anything.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. No one knows anything. And everything's made up.
I've come to the conclusion that no one knows anything
about anything.
Anytime, anywhere. Because
Anymore.
if you think about if we talk about just financial calamities that have occurred, go back to the Black Friday of 1987, I think it was. But look at all of the things that have occurred with the share market. Now, if you think about the world stock market, some of the brightest people on the planet are the ones that are involved in watching that marketplace. And yet nobody calls Black Friday. No one calls anything. That no one ever makes a right call. So if all of the geniuses can't get it right, what does it say about the rest of the world? And I'm with Ricky Gervais. I'm with Ricky Gervais, who says, don't ask the average person. Let's ask the average person what the average person thinks. Ricky Gervais has got this great skit, which I think I've sent to you. And any viewers want it, I'll send it on to you.
It's a beauty,
But Ricky Gervais says, don't ask the average person because the average person is an imbecile.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
and he says, and he mimics holding up a bottle of bleach where he says, bottle of bleach.
That's right.
We have to put stickers on it which says, do not drink.
That's right.
This is for the average person needs to be told, do not drink the bleach. He says, take those stickers off for a couple of years, and then we'll ask the average person, because his theory is by the time they've all drunk the bleach, the average person will be a lot smarter.
And they will have worked it out. Sometimes it's better that way. We all grew up that way, getting a little bit of a clip around the ear. Phil, we can't do that anymore. Maybe we're better off. I don't know. Look, I'm not advocating any violence or, or any domestic, inappropriateness, but I've got to say, Phil, we aren't getting any smarter. And the geniuses out there, they're not geniuses. And the academics, they're not very smart either, I've got to say. So
no one knows anything about anything.
That's what we're going to do. So we're going to continue telling you something that we think we know about, but we've probably got no idea anyway. But there are some facts that we can bring to the table, Phil. The fact of our clearance rate we can bring to the table. That's a fact. The fact that domain... No, the fact that domain.com says 62%, that's a fact. There are a few things that we do know, and we do know what happened at our auctions, and we do know what didn't happen at our auctions on the weekend. So let's talk about that. Where are we going now?
No. Because we know what happened at our auctions, right?
Yeah.
I can drive away from an auction, right? Yeah. And we've had bidding and sold it over the reserve, lots of excitement. I'll get into the car, I'll be driving along, and I'll ring Darren Krongol, right? And Darren's first onto it, like, what did you sell it for? And I go, he says, what did you just sell that property for? And I say to Darren, I think it was $1,668,000.
Yeah.
And then the report comes through and it sold for $1,615,000. I can't even remember what happened at an auction that I conducted 15 minutes ago.
It's a muddled mind that you're looking at right here. And I wonder how long he's got left, really. Anyway, and people keep asking me about properties, and I just keep saying the same thing to them. Stop mistaking me for someone that knows what the hell's going on in my company or in our company.
The one thing I do know, though, Gary,
yes,
is that
that's
if
my name. You got that right.
Buy property and hold on to it, invariably it'll be one of your most successful decisions. Having said that, we don't want you to hold on for too long. We want you to sell it on a regular basis.
Do you ever worry about when you've actually lost the plot? Do you think like there'll be a time where you've lost the plot? And do you reckon you'll know it, or because you've lost the plot, you won't even be aware that you've lost the plot?
I'll tell you how I'll know it in you or in me. Because I've seen this happen to auctioneers across the journey.
And people in general,
You start losing track of the bids.
Oh yeah, that's never good, is it?
Right.
Yeah,
that's when you know, because if you think about it,
but there are young auctioneers doing that. There are some young auctioneers.
there's some young auctioneers that are either useless or are already losing the plot.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
But if you come to an auction, viewers, where I can't keep track of the bids, then you know it's time to tap me on the shoulder.
But occasionally, the bid will go fast. There'll be a bid, and you'll have an excuse, and you'll check in, and then you'll see if I know, and then if I don't know, I'll see if the next person knows, and if none of us know, that's a real problem.
That's why you'll see all of our team with iPads. Writing the numbers down. Even then it can go so quickly. I go over to one of our salespeople, where are we up to? And they go, oh, I lost this.
Which brings us back to the point, no one knows anything about anything, and that's what we're learning more and more. We're getting enlightened by that. Phil, let's talk about some of our sales of the weekend, because there were some exciting results, some interesting results, some competitive results, Phil, and some properties that didn't sell the way that they could or should have, perhaps, because they're unsold.
And how about all of our midweek auctions, Gary?
We were very busy little bees, weren't we?
This week has been the week where we did more midweek auctions than any other time in our career.
Well, we had a thumping.
I tell you, I love them.
We had a thumping Thursday. We sold that
thumping Thursday.
We love thumping Thursday, just before sensational Saturday and spectacular Sunday. But thumping Thursday, we sold that block of apartments in Gardenvale Road. So congratulations to the vendor and the buyer, both who we have wonderful relationships with. Good crowd there. So we had some fun there, Philip.
That was a kind of midday auction.
Yeah, then we popped off and hobnobbed to Brighton, Philip, on Thursday night. We love it in Brighton, and of course
we love it in Vaucluse Street.
We did, Phil, and you had a great call there. We had lots of excitement.
Really, if you think about Melbourne-Sydney rivalry, goes to show really how pathetic Melbourne is when our beachside suburb of Brighton has got to call a street Vaucluse Street in Brighton. And for those of you that haven't been to Sydney or don't know it well, Vaucluse is probably one of the most expensive suburbs in Sydney, Harbourside suburb, and we have to call a street Vaucluse Street. And there's nowhere, you can't see the beach at all.
Well, I'd call it even, because there is a Brighton Street in Bondi, I think, Phil. So, it just swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Yes.
Wimmera.
Brighton Les Sands or something?
Yeah, there's an area called Brighton Les Sands. We went to a conference there once, Phil. We really did. Not far from the airport. We learnt some stuff, forgot it all now. Can't remember any of it, but it was good at the time, I think, wasn't it? Phil, Wimmera Street, Ormond. Yes. That was a thumping midweek auction. I think we had 7 bidders.
Yes.
So if you want to know what's hot, just check out this property. There's some images. We're now in it. I love
Yeah.
it how we talk about a property.
I know.
All of a sudden we're in it.
Spectacular,
It's all
isn't it?
happening around us. It's amazing. Anyway, 19A, it's like a time machine, isn't it? 19A Wimmera Street, Ormond. Philip, we thought we might get around $1 million, and the reserve was, because it was quoted in that sort of nice $1 million. Maybe it'll get $1 million. Sold for $1,216,000 with 7 bidders, Philip, competing for that.
Completely off track though. Completely off track, but it's just the thoughts just come into my mind because you're a man that likes to go to Las Vegas.
I don't mind. I'm not impartial to it.
Viewers, if you haven't looked at the Sphere in Las Vegas, you have to Google the Sphere Las Vegas.
Well, let me tell you,
because I've got to tell you, that's got to be on your list of things to do.
As they say in South Africa, let me tell you something now, boy. I'm going to tell you and share something with you.
Yep,
Are you
that's
mad?
very good.
Are you mad? Anyway, I went to Vegas last time and I stayed in a building that overlooked the Sphere. And I couldn't look at anything else because it changes all of the images. And there's a problem there at the moment in that there's a lot of car accidents happening around the Sphere because people are engaged, they're stopping and they're just running into grandmas and running people off the road and hitting other cars and things because it's just fascinating. So I've got some great images. I don't know if I've shown you all the different images, Phil, but I'm happy to take you through my phone because it's unbelievable.
Yes,
anyway,
check it out.
We got off track. What made you think about the Sphere? Anyway, we're talking about real estate here. How does your mind even work? It's like, you can do a whole study on it, I reckon.
It's my ADHD, Gary. I can be talking about something but somewhere else in a split second.
Scary, actually, in some ways. Anyway, Philip, let's get back. Is it a secret power?
No, people with ADHD, it is a secret power.
Is that what they say, is it, Phil? Phil, let's just move on because it's just getting ridiculous now.
It is,
Talk about some of our other sales. I'm trying to get through. We've got no auctions to review this weekend because there are none.
Yes.
It's a big derby.
Can we talk about a sale in Charles Street, Gary?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. You'll have to wait till that, Phil. I want to talk about Henry Street. Look, this is how small the world is because one of our viewers, Peter, he has sent me a message and he sent me a little bit of footage. His father grew up in that house in Henry Street that you auctioned.
Yep.
There used to be a furniture shop out the back. His grandfather owned it and owned it in the 1920s.
Right.
And used to work at the furniture shop at the back of there.
Right.
I don't know if you know it was there.
Yep.
And they sold it for the princely sum in 1983 of $58,500.
In 1983?
Yeah, $58,500. They said it was a paltry amount. It may have been a lot at the time, Phil.
Sure it was.
Probably was. But anyway, $58,500 was sold in 1983. The display price, or the range this time, 175 to 1925, and it's undisclosed, but it sold over the top of the range, Phil. Phil, some apartments were hot on the weekend as well. We're talking now Brighton Road, Elwood, which was sold, and we had 2 bidders going very strongly. Sorry, 3 bidders going strongly for that. Simon Rodolnik, who does a wonderful job as an auctioneer, sold that one for $710,000, well above its range, Phil.
Fabulous.
As did the apartment that I sold on Sunday in Orong Road. That was one at 384 Orong Road. Philip, this terrific apartment was very, very popular. It was beautifully done up, of course, by the vendor, who's an interior designer, who did an incredible job. So that went way over expectations as well. Parnell Street, not yet sold, Philip, 52 Parnell Street, for private sale. Prices on the screen. Jump on that because that's a great house. And let's talk a little bit about East Brighton, Phil, because you did talk about Charles Street for a minute and I cut you off for a moment.
You did,
Tell us
rather savagely.
Yeah, I
thought.
did. Yeah.
But getting back on track, I've kind of picked up my emotional aura.
Yeah.
But I arrived at that property. I've seen it online, of course, but I arrived and I thought, wow, what a great looking house. Big crowd there. We took the auction inside because it was very blustery on Saturday.
It was.
And we had 2 parties go really hard at it, sold it well over the top of the price quote range, but as far as houses go, Gary, one of the nicest houses I've seen in its price range.
Some of the nicest vendors, and congratulations to them, deserving of a great outcome, and that is what they got. Philip, 109 Bamber Road, well, that's another auction that was very popular.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. I can see that we had 3 strong bidders for that.
Lovely home there, Gary, and shout out to the vendors who are the most delightful people. Moving from Caulfield to Northside, that's their plan at the moment.
There you go.
But really charming home, beautifully renovated by the current owners, and they presented it in a manner that was just faultless. Their efforts were well rewarded.
And price guides for 190 to 2,90,000. It sold for 2,250,000.
Yep,
well above the range. But a lot of places went in the range, and some even went under the range.
Under the range.
So, for those cynics that say, oh, everything goes over the range every time, it doesn't. So
correct.
Keep a look out and see what's around. 47 Milburn, well, that did go well over the range. Look, that vendor, delightful, and not only delightful, but brought us the title showing it's been in the same family since 19 I think 1936 it
I know,
was.
he said it rather proudly,
Yep.
Gary, and I just looked at this man and I was appalled. I was
Yeah,
appalled.
I know. And he told him so
yeah,
too.
I did. I was not going to
You couldn't help yourself.
You know, I mean, he's,
Yeah.
they've held it for 80, how many years?
No,
87
88 years, Philip.
Call it 90 years, right?
Yeah, call it 90 years.
So if you think about the average person moves house every 9 years.
10
right?
years, call it.
Well, let's
Even
call it
10,
9
yeah.
years.
Okay.
That's 10 commissions that family
It's
has
denied.
effectively, not denied, Gary,
Stolen from the real estate industry.
robbed.
And
I
if-
look
yeah.
at that man not as a nice fellow selling a generational asset. I look at him as a burglar, a robber.
Do you think we should speak to
the, with those
do you think
the
the-
little
yeah,
mask on?
Do you think
and
we
the
should,
sack of
yeah,
loot?
those mythical kind of robbers, those
he
typical.
was a robber.
Yeah, and I think we should go to the REIV and see if they've got any objection with us sending a bill for maybe 5 commissions, not 10, but let's just go halves because
3.
we had none, right? And you saved 10,
Yeah.
so let's send a bill for 5 commissions and call it even.
Yeah.
I think it's fair, isn't it?
The robber.
Fair enough. Anyway, Phil, you did manage to catch that vendor a bit off guard, but I think he understood that you were being jocular, Philip. And some
Jocular,
people
yeah. Some
don't
people-
always
some
take
people
to
don't get
jocularity.
my humour, Gary.
No, but he did, and was very proud of being there for some 90 years. So congratulations to the vendor.
Good on you, mate.
And well done. He got a great result, Philip. They haven't been there 90 years, but they've been there a long time. That's the vendor at 38533 Orrong Road, Armidale, who Daniel and I worked closely on together with the Viv Samuel, and what a great result that was for that vendor. Sold before auction for somewhat over the range. I'm not going to say exactly what the price is, Philip, because it's nobody's business, but well done.
It's everybody's business. Everyone wants to know, Gary. You can't say it's nobody's business.
Well,
everybody wants
it will
to know,
end up becoming
but
public,
it might just be private.
Okay, well, how do
to
I
say it's
okay.
nobody's business? Like everybody wants to know about the sale prices.
Okay, well, they're not going to find out
So it's
right here.
everybody's
I'll have to wait till it
business.
settles. It's a very quick settlement, but well done. A lovely family bought it, but a lovely family selling, who we wish well, Philip. And in fact, some vendors, and I know this is funny, Daniel said this, he goes, I'm going to miss that vendor. Some vendors you sell for, and you go on this journey, Philip, and you're part of their life, and you're in their home, and you're really integrated into everything that's going on for them, and then you kind of have to leave them, Phil.
So Daniel says he's going to miss them. Well,
he is.
You know what? Get on the phone, ring those vendors, because they've probably got an investment property.
Yeah,
right? Like, just chase them down, Daniel.
Get them to
If you
sell
want
something
have
else.
so much more to do with them, chase them.
And get them to sell something else.
Correct.
Maybe. Yeah. Philip, 9A Lindock Avenue in Eastern Kilda.
Shout
that
out
was sold.
To the
Yeah,
vendors
well
of
done.
those homes. They are two of the most delightful people you're ever going to meet in your life. And special shout out to her because she presented this home.
Oh, yeah.
Textbook classic presentation because, I walked, everywhere I walked, everything was perfect. Even we were chatting with them during the post-auction negotiation in the pantry.
Yes, we
and
were.
I've got to tell you.
That was a nice pantry too.
I'm looking at the pantry and I'm thinking to myself, there is not a Cocoa Pop out of place
wasn't, Phil.
in that pantry. But viewers, presentation is critically important. And I almost feel like we should do a video interviewing her to see how she pulled it all off because big family there. Lots going on, but the presentation was fabulous.
And the price is undisclosed, but it was being quoted in the 4 millions. We'll leave it at that. And of course, was sold. Philip, we've had some mail. We've got some mail in the mailbag from John, who talked about the Pinellas and the Pinellas in Florida, Philip.
Yes.
And I think you might have said that there's pineapples in the Pinellas. There's no pineapples in the Pinellas. So thank you for that. And thank you, John, who's had a very big week. He's selling something there, and he's taking our 5 steps very seriously.
Yes.
Because if you haven't seen that, go back to the former GPTV episode and have a look at
watch
5 steps.
every episode. All 5.
Or 540 or whatever it is, go back and watch them all. But look, our Gary Pier tote bag's got around, Philip. There's some images of it on a fishing boat over here, you can see. There's an image of it volunteering for the locals. It's also a bit of a tradie type of bag and having some recreation time in the park, the Gary Pier tote bag.
I love that.
So thanks, John.
We
It's always
really
good to hear from you.
need to have an award next year, like maybe every quarter an award
we've done it
for
a few times.
our umbrella, our cap or our bags. Where can you get those? Where can you get our merch displayed around the world?
Exactly right. We'll look after you for doing that. Philip, also, we've had a sale in Murrumbeena. You mentioned the sales meeting yesterday.
Absolutely.
We are record setters,
Shout
and it
out
is
to
Christian
Christian
DeVries.
DeVries.
He is the man, Phil.
Yep.
tell us a little bit about that
Well,
sale.
Gary, I think we're going to put the images up on the screen.
It was written about...
Christian has pulled off a record price for Murrumbeena.
Yep.
He is an outstanding operator. He's a relatively recent recruit to the GPA team.
He's doing great.
But he's come on board and he's got a lovely way about him.
He has.
He's got a very gentle manner, but don't underestimate that gentle manner.
Exactly
manner
right.
for somebody that absolutely knows how to put a deal together. But that was one that he door knocked in previous times, stayed in touch with the owner, and then delivered a new Murrumbeena price record.
Yes.
So shout out to Christian. You're doing so well with us.
And I think the price is disclosed. It was close to $4 million, Philip. And so it was like, knock, knock, I've got $4 million for you, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor. So incredible. He's now chasing a $4 million sale in Murrumbeena. He'll get it, but that was 3.8-ish.
Records, Gary, are therefore beating.
And be broken,
And he had a PB selling that house, but he's going to get a PB beating that sale.
We love breaking our own records, don't we, Phil?
We do.
Now, there's no auctions this weekend. It is the Melbourne Cup, but we've got a few properties to talk about, Phil. One of them is in Octavia Street, and I know you had the pleasure of selling the front unit of this one. This is the builder, Benny Genovese, I think it was.
Benny Genovese.
He did a beautiful job all those years ago. This is now the rear unit and owned by somebody who reminded me that I was at school with him, and because I haven't seen him for years, and I wasn't at school that often, and he knew that too, but he did see me glimpses
What
of
he
me.
meant to say was he was at the same school that you went to occasionally.
Yes, and was expelled, not expelled, suspended from, or bludged, or whatever it was. But anyway, tell us about this unit,
Well,
Phil.
Gary, solid brick firstly, because Benny Genovese used to build from solid brick.
Which is expensive, Phil.
Absolutely, and it's a craft in itself. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, carport for 2 cars, totally immaculate. And the front one went really well, and I believe this one will go really well as well.
Phil, there's another home here that you're familiar with in Narrawong Road, the ultimate indoor-outdoor family entertainer. We're talking 61 Narrawong Road.
Gary, I love this house, and I love the owners of this house as well. That is a spectacular home. 4 bedrooms and a study, 3.5 bathrooms, a double lock-up garage, fabulous outdoor entertaining areas. My favourite area has got to be the alfresco area overlooking the back garden, which in turn overlooks the gym, the studio, and the sauna. What a package!
The final property, Philip, that we're going to talk about very quickly is in the Golden Mile of Caulfield North. We're talking Aruna Road, Phil. There's no better street, or maybe there isn't a better street. It's certainly in the top 2 or 3.
Top 3, Gary.
Top 3.
Aruna, Howard,
I'd say, that's it. Maybe Findon throw that one in. But 29 Aruna Road, Phil. Have a look at this incredible home.
Gary, we love this house. This is really hard to find. First of all, it's single story.
It's not that hard to find because you just go down Balaclava Road, you turn into Aruna Road.
You're just so funny,
you can
Gary.
find it,
but this is hard to find because it's a single story, solid brick family home that has been renovated so beautifully. Having said that, the architecture is timeless. So when I talk about a renovation, it's really just refurbishing some of the areas because you don't need to move a wall. You don't need to do anything. It's got a garden that would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to recreate. And the entertaining areas in that house are spectacular. The ceiling heights are amazing. It's just a home that from the moment you walk into that entrance area, it's all class.
What would it cost to build a house like that today?
Just have a wild guess. It's $3 million plus for the house. The garden's probably another $500,000.
Yep.
So it's a $3 to $4 million exercise.
Yep.
And then the block of land. Well, what's a block of land in Aruna Road?
Maybe 4 or something.
$3 to $4 million.
So it's a $7 or $8 million house.
Correct.
And you won't have to pay that price for it, will you, Phil?
No.
I don't think you might want to, but you don't have to. Yes. But that is a magnificent property in, of course, the Golden Mile of Caulfield North.
Golden Mile, the epicentre, Gary.
The epicentre, Philip. It's going to be next week a little bit later because Melbourne Cup is next Tuesday. Yes. I don't know if you'll be attending the Cup. I do have a horse running on Cup Day which I have literally a toenail of, a horse called Chorlton Lane.
So when you say you have a toenail, what percentage of that horse do you have?
It's in fractions, Philip. It's in fractions of a percentage.
Is it 5%?
I think 8 of us own 5% of that horse. So it is a fractional, just a group of mates got together with this, put in this tiny amount each just to get a little bit of this horse. And of course, they're running on Melbourne Cup Day.
Okay.
So
In the Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, exactly.
In the Melbourne Cup.
Not in the Melbourne Cup. It wasn't that good. It's going to just be running in one of the races on Melbourne Cup Day, and not such a big race.
At Flemington, or is it going to be running at Melbourne on Melbourne Cup Day at Cootamundra?
No, Murtoa, Phil. It's going to be running Melbourne. No, it is running at Flemington, Chorlton Lane. So have a little look at that.
Chorlton Lane.
Chorlton Lane.
Got
Chorlton
no
Lane.
chance.
It might have a chance, and so may Cadmus on Friday night. That's all I've got to talk about with racing. Houses and horses, Phil. It's that time of year. It's a big wrap. We'll see you next Wednesday on GPTV, not Tuesday this time. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Philip Kingston. Have a great Melbourne Cup.